What's up? Welcome back to another episode of Blindside Sports. This is episode 52, and we have a very special guest today. He used to be a board off back. Say say what you want to say about that. If you like him or not. But used to be a board op back in the day on Fox Sports Radio. His thing was Tinder Nick. Now it says in his bio he works for a TV show, but I don't know exactly what TV show that is. But if you want to find his hot takes over on Twitter is Nick Wright. Nick, welcome to Blindside Sports, man.
Emmett, it's finally great to see you in person, by the way. And man, you're a young dude. I was not expecting this. I'm not gonna lie. I am kind of blown away. I thought you were like an old dude for some reason. So
some creepy old guy.
Yeah, I like kind of had like the way you tweet is kind of old manish. I'm sorry to say, but damn, you're a young dude. I love it. You listen to sports radio all the time, man. I love it. Good to be here.
Yeah, I do feel like some of my tweets, like when I tweet about the game, but like there's times where I go in like I don't really tweet out like young people stuff. Like when I reply to other people's stuff, use the GIFs or troll people. It depends on what they tweet. How do you attack this Twitter person now? But Nick is a diehard Chargers fan, and he has especially after last week's game, we were trying to get on sooner, but schedules are a thing, so we can't just hop on whenever we text each other, But he has some very hot takes about the Chargers. He thinks there's some stuff going on that needs to be fixed. So I'm kind of going to let Nick take the floor on this for a little bit here. Nick, give us your full Chargers impressions here. What's going wrong? What's going right? What needs to be fixed?
All right. Well, number one, week one, even though it's week one and people will think I'm insane, week one was a must win for the Chargers. Out of all the games in the year, and we'll see what's going to happen obviously down the line, but week one to me was a must win against the Raiders after that week 18 game when Herbert had to go superhuman in the fourth quarter and they still came up short because the defense stunk. It was a must win because I was not confident that the way the NFL scheduled the Chargers in the first 2 weeks is literally, within a week is so brutal, going against two division rivals in less than a week. So that was one thing, and that's why I'm saying the Raiders game was a must win, and they did that, and I was fine going 1-1. Okay, I didn't expect to beat the Chiefs on Thursday, but they should have because I knew the refs were going to be in Kansas City's favor, right? I mean, that's not anything crazy. There was a play that totally flipped the game. That Asante Samuel Jr. had they reviewed it and it got overturned, but it was a pick. Everyone knew it. Everyone, not even who's Charger fans, knew it. And it got overturned, and that would have, it would have been it would have flipped the game. And then there's a play on the Bucks and Saints game. You can look it up. I don't have the player's name in front of me, but the Bucks player intercepted it. I mean, it was the same play where he's going for the ball and he brings it in, but it's like he doesn't have the possession. You know what I mean? It's the mirror play, and they called it for the Bucks. And I just think the refs just screwed the Chargers all night long. But I don't think they're the main reason they won the game. They lost the game. Okay, let's revisit the 99-yard pick six by Justin Herbert. Remember that?
Yep.
Okay.
Big topic conversation. Yep.
Yes. And Charger fans hate me for it. Well, most of them do. I mean, what do I have? Like 1,300 followers on Twitter. 99% of them have me muted because I just tweet out annoying stuff all the time. It's in the bio. I'm annoying. So, but the Charger fans are blasting me for it because we just can't not like for a lot of Charger people and Charger fans, nothing is ever Justin Herbert's fault. He can do no wrong. Ever. It's never his fault. Okay, so let's review it. Our new tight end, Everett, literally was gassed, okay?
Former Seahawk, by the way, yep.
I've seen that play. I've seen that clip a million times now. He was gassed. Brandon Staley, Chargers head coach, even came out, said that it was my bad. It was my fault. I should have brought him back. I should have brought him out for that play. But Justin Herbert still threw. He saw that he was in man coverage, and that was just the way you could see it. If you watch it, you can see it. Like, you know, that guy's going to turn back on whoever the Kansas City freaking guy who ran the pick six back from. Justin Herbert still threw that ball basically into his hands.
Yeah.
And I just don't want every single Chargers outlet and everyone to say that it's nothing on Herbert. It was a 99-yard pick six in a crucial time of the game.
Oh, yeah. And I'll jump in on this too.
Please.
You were, I mean, you don't like throwing it to your gas tight end, especially when he's gassing, you know, the coverage situation that it was. I mean, it's a mistake. And you said it on Twitter. You might have said it here. I probably just missed it. But Herbert, he shouldn't be defined for this moment, but it's something to look out for. And it was definitely on his fault. But to put into perspective how crucial this was, the Chiefs offense only scored 17 points throughout that whole game.
Yep.
And that offense, they had 24.
27, yeah.
27, yeah. But the offense was really, it wasn't the Chiefs offense that we know. And if you're I get you had no Keenan Allen, I get that. But this was definitely a more than winnable game for the Chargers. The Chargers, I mean, they have their team, they have Herbert, they have even Mike Williams, who had a good game, but it's just, you know, it could be play calling, it could be that interception. There's just something with the Chargers that they always had this way of getting screwed. And I feel like Austin Eckler, I mean, I think a decent enough game, but it could improve.
Not the same. So yeah, that's going to come into my next thing.
I pulled up the stats, but I think it was like 17 carries for like 50 something yards. Like, when you're Austin Eckler, that's not good.
Like, honestly, just not to go off the Charger topic, but all running backs are kind of struggling this year. It's a little odd for the first 2 weeks, but that's
Jonathan Taylor kind of had an off game. Saquon had that one really good game week 1, and it kind of was off.
True.
Too.
Yeah.
It's this NFL. I mean, we're gonna get to this after the Chargers, but this NFL season is off to a very interesting start. I mean, we'll talk about it more. You can get off to you can finish your Chargers rant because we're going to dive into that in a minute here. But very weird season.
So, and that's the thing. It's the Chiefs were not the Chiefs that night offensively, and that's where in the first half, every Charger fan and their grandma, like the defense played so damn good. It's like, you know, they look stout, and it's now. I mean, this is revisionist history. But J.C. Jackson, the corner they got from the Patriots, he kind of got smoked. He got smoked on one play. And now it's not looking good. He's day-to-day with his ankle still. So I was afraid they were going to bring him back too early. That's looking like it's probably
that's
true.
The case. Yep.
And here's the thing, too. They're going into this weekend against Taylor Lawrence and the Jaguars.
Trevor Lawrence.
And guess what? I think I saw a stat where the Jags are like 0-18 on the road, their last like road games, or maybe Trevor Lawrence is 0-9 or I don't know, something like that on the road. And it's a classic thing. You know what? I'm going to bring up something right here. I think I have it. I think I bookmarked this thing, but only the Chargers would have this happen. Yeah, here we go. Trevor Lawrence is 0-9 on the road, right? He'll try to get his first road win Sunday against Chargers. The only quarterback to lose his first 9 starts and win his 10th, Peyton Manning against the Chargers.
Wow. So, that definitely is. That's a Charger thing right there. That's a Charger.
Oh, exactly. Oh, yeah, of course. By the way, just to not get, this is from Bridget Condon. Just on Twitter. That's her tweet. Right. So
yeah, cool.
But yeah. Oh, and also one more thing about the Chargers. Sorry, I don't want to bore everybody.
Keep going.
A big reason is their offensive coordinator, Joe Lombardi. He is way too conservative. I got killed last year because I thought he was the reason why. Well, no, Staley was a big reason why they missed the playoffs last year with going for it on all those 4th downs. Again, I get killed by Chargers Twitter for that. But anyway, I got killed for saying he stinks last year, and now I think Herbert's still in the top quarterbacks for plays 10+ yards thrown. But if you watch the games, he's playing dink and dunk with Justin Herbert, and he made a couple long plays to Mike Williams that were great. Like it's not enough. Like let him unleash his arm. They're playing they're dink and dunking like Tua does. We'll get into Tua's game later, which I'm not really too like whatever. It's fine. Finally he has a good game. Anyway.
Finally, yeah. You got more on the Chargers, or you?
think I tapped out there. Oh, okay. I will say. Okay. All right. One more hot. I guess a hot take that puts me in Charger jail too for their life sentence.
Here we go.
Brandon Staley is on the biggest hot seat in the world this year. Okay. You got all these clowns on Twitter, which is fine this year, that said, "Oh, Herbert never made the playoffs. That kind of trash talk is valid after this season. I don't want to see it now.
I agree.
People forget Justin Herbert came in the season last year against week 2, 5 minutes before kickoff.
Yes.
Because the freaking doctor for the Chargers put a jackknife into poor Tyrod Taylor's lung.
That doctor is still there, by the way. He's still an NFL doctor.
I'm pretty sure Tyrod's suing him. But
that broke the same day that the Herbert stuff broke. Yeah.
And people forget that he came into week 2, 5 minutes for kickoff against the Super Bowl champions and balled out. And he had Anthony Lynn as his head coach, who is maybe the worst head coach I've ever seen in the NFL.
Yeah, what a diaper.
So last year, Brandon Staley made a lot of boneheaded decisions in the fourth. And people will say, "Oh, well, in other games, if he didn't go on fourth down," okay, great. But in the crucial Week 18 game, he didn't go for it for 2 against the Raiders, and that cost him the playoffs. So this is the biggest hot seat in the world. And guess what? To my main point, Sean Payton is kind of interested after this season. So,
Yeah.
All right, I'm done. I'm boring everyone with the Chargers.
All right, I'll quickly kind of talk about it, then we'll move on real fast.
Yeah, please.
The Chargers, and this isn't that outlandish of a hot take. I've actually, I was kind of thinking about it too. I might even put something out there about it because, I mean, we go through this division. The Chargers, they can't waste time. I mean, this division is it's going to be this division at least for a couple more years. And the Chargers,
in NFL history.
Yep. Justin Herbert, he's young. I mean, anyone who rips Justin Herbert for not being in the playoffs after having 2 years, this is his 3rd year in the NFL, is wild. I mean, not every rookie quarterback makes it the first year. And another thing that the Chargers are doing for Herbert that I love is they're always improving that roster every single year. I mean, in the first offseason, you get a couple of those offensive linemen, Lindsley, and then you get the guy Rashawn Slater in the draft, and then last year, you trade for Khalil Mack, bring in J.C. Jackson. Like, they're trying to do everything.
Can I just cut you off really quick? Another thing why I have a life sentence in Chargers jail, I think Tom Telesco is a great GM. 60% of Charger fans or more probably hate him because they don't make the playoffs ever. Well, it's not his fault. He puts a good product on the field. They don't perform up to their standards. So, I just want to say Tom Telesco should be regarded because he has made some big moves over the last couple of years.
I agree. So that Chargers team, I picked them going out of the division. It's only one game. They lost it. I put a lot of stock in on the Chargers this year. It could come back to bite me in the butt, but I think they have potential to do it. They make improving moves for that Chargers team every year, and you just don't. I mean, I think that this is probably out of all 3 years, it is easily the year they had the most potential.
Yes.
But they 100%. Can't be wasting it. You can't waste it. I mean, nope. Khalil Mack's not getting younger. Like, Keenan Allen's not getting younger. Herbert's still, like, not even in his prime yet.
Nope.
But this is such a good team. I'd hate to see it go to waste. The Chargers need to get their act together.
I'm glad you said that because as a Charger fan, I haven't been this excited about this year in at least a decade. At least a decade. And everything's there. And also, people who are concerned about Herbert this weekend because of that brutal rib thing he had against the Chiefs, I'm telling you, I don't have sources, obviously, nothing like that. He's going to play. You're going to see one of those big, like, flak jacket things that some quarterbacks wear to protect their ribs, and they're going to shoot him up with the best Cali mids of all time. He's going to play.
Yeah, but do you want the Chargers team doctors to shoot him up with meds? I mean, yes. I mean, I think we have a new. I think we have the same. I don't even if that guy was doing, what he was doing when Tyrod Taylor had it happen. I'd hope he doesn't make that same mistake twice. I really do. I don't think it's gonna happen.
I'm gonna be a terrible person right here. I mean, most people think I already am, so it's fine. I'll always say I have this conspiracy theory. I think that I don't know if that Tyrod Taylor thing was an accident, man. I'm just gonna say that.
Oh, wow. That's a hot take.
Justin Herbert might not still be on the field if that never happened.
I agree. You never know. I mean, people always, could rip on us
By the way,
the what if game, but it's valid.
Right. I'm just saying, like, if that's the case, I mean, let's just live in a hypothetical world where that actually happened. It's disgusting, and I'd be sickened by it. But I just think, I don't know. That's my other thing.
All right. I have to ask you about it. Maybe if some of the OG listeners check this out, because I have to ask people about their careers. I'll do one question, then we're gonna get back to week 2 because
please.
You are. That's the one thing about you is you seem to some people are just they're one team guys. You tweet and talk about everything NFL NBA related. Like you have your takes out there all the time. And Chargers fans hate you, but then half of them. Really, Tom Telesco. Come on. Good GM. But I actually agree with you, but I'm not a Chargers fan, so I don't know if my opinion counts. But you worked at Fox for what 5 years? You worked there a while.
It's about 7 years. Yeah.
I'm sure you witnessed. I really never heard you towards the tail end of it. I don't know what you were on, but I'm sure you've witnessed some very either crazy stories breaking while you're on air or something weird behind the scenes happening. What's the best Fox Sports radio story? I'm sure it's a Jonas Knox story.
Okay. Well, I just want to say first off, Jonas is probably the hardest working person I've ever met in my life. Jonas Knox he should get a Marconi one day. Between him, Ben Maller, and Steve Hartman, I've never worked with anyone who works that hard at what they do. So that's first off. I just want to shout out to those guys.
Yeah.
I think the craziest one was Rob Parker of The Odd Couple. I forget which guest it was. It was a former NBA player, and it was.
I know where you're going with this.
I can't remember, but
I'll tell you at the end.
They went at it, and it got personal. And me and I think it was Lee DeLapp, who I know who was the producer behind me, and we're just I literally remember being on the board, and I literally had to crouch down because I was cringing so bad. It got so personal, and it was just crazy. So I'll let you talk, and then I'm gonna try to remember anything else that was kind of crazy.
It was Rick Barry.
Yes. Okay.
I remember that one went viral. That went viral. That was because Colin was talking about it. I've even seen clips a couple months ago on Twitter, and they were recently tweeted clips of them. It was Mark Willard and Rob Parker.
Yes, Mark Willard.
And they were interviewing
also a great guy. Yeah.
Rick Barry. I don't remember the producer. It was just I only saw the clip.
I'm pretty sure it was Lee, but I could be wrong.
Yeah. Lee DeLapp, he's witnessed a lot too. Now he's on the 2 Pros and a Cup of Joe. I've had him on the show. Super nice guy.
Honestly, since I haven't worked at Fox, I'm still I'm a slave to sports radio. I still listen to those guys, especially I'll if I'm driving, I'll put on 2 Pros and a Cup of Joe. It's
such a good show.
Love those guys. Did you hear the story? And I actually had to text Lee about this, that there was a bat that actually got in the studio and terrorized the studio. That's one of my favorite.
There's a couple of them actually. One of them, it was Ben Maller. It was last year. It was Coop and Chris Perfett, who I think took your job actually on when you left, to do premiere. It was him.
He's really good though. He's good.
He's not. He's been on my show 2 times. Go follow him at Chris Perfett. He covers the Lions. He's suffered longer than Nick, but he was there.
Yeah.
Maybe. Actually, I wonder, if we actually look that up. I think it's either about the same or a little bit more of how long you guys have been suffering.
Well, we both don't have a chip. That's all that matters. We both just want that
exactly.
Chip.
Exactly, yeah. But he was in there, and I remember, you worked Ben's show, so when Eddie does the run back coming from breaks, it'll be follow your host on Twitter, at Ben Maller, and then the crew member, like Roberto or Coop or Eddie now. And usually they'll play the drop, and the drop didn't come. And obviously Big Ben was like, whoa, what's happening there? And Chris was like, yeah, you're not going to believe me if I tell you. And then Coop was like, yeah, there's a bat in here. And I think it was Ricky who got it out the first time. And then the second time which if you texted Lee about this, you can confirm it. Lee killed it. He killed the bat.
Oh my god!
Like, is that true or is that a joke? Like, because I remember LeVar, like, there was a video on Twitter of the commentary went for 2 pros when this whole bat thing happened, and then I think Jonas or somebody put out that Lee took care of it later, and I think that bat, you know, I don't think it's around right now.
I don't know. I'm pretty sure it's done for, but yeah. Wow.
Yeah, I think Lee did the lead to lap special right there and made that thing go. See ya.
I gave it an elbow drop and got it out of there. I can see that.
Yeah. Angry lead to lap. But do you have any more stories, or can I move on to the week?
Yeah, I mean, there's not, you know, besides like obvious work drama and just, you know, just stupid little stuff. I mean, that was, you know, I'm just trying to think of wild stuff, and I really, you know, there's not really.
Yeah, Jonas. I mean, when Jonas did the overnight, every weekend something wild happened. So I mean,
yeah, right. I didn't do his show too often, but I mean,
you did him and Brady on the Sundays for a little bit, right?
Yes, and that was that was up there for me. That was kind of
yeah.
It's kind of weird. It's weird when I was working in radio, like Jason McIntyre, the great J Mac, who's now you know Colin Cowherd's official like update, you know, like pretty much sidekick, right?
Yep.
And then now you know like Brady Quinn's Brady Quinn, but you know seeing him and Jonas and now LeVar Arrington, now like you have a big show. It's kind of weird.
Did you work with LeVar, or is that before you?
A few times. I worked with him a few times when he kind of like filled in here and there, and then he started to you know just be there every weekend, and it blossomed. So yeah, a couple times, but it's just kind of crazy when I was kind of in like working in the early stages of how they even got even bigger. So it's kind of a cool thing to remember.
Yep, for sure. And you know, other people too, like Lee DeLapp, who you'd hear on the weekends doing the over unders, or now who Rob G was on the weekends back in like
now Rob G is a superstar producer. I mean, good lord.
Yeah, he could be a co-host. I mean, he really could.
He has, and that's the thing. I've listened to him when he has, and he does great.
He's great, man. Yeah, he could if it was a Robert Guerra show who, I mean, I think he's not here this week. Maybe he's prepping for the Robert Guerra show. But if that was a thing, it wouldn't be a bad show. I'd tune in. And the thing is he's sat behind 2 greats for 4 years, Chris and Rob, who both they're very experienced in sports writing and sports broadcasting. So he's you know, I mean, Jonas and Chris and Rob are goats in different ways, but he's sitting behind someone who's very good at 2 people who are very good at what they're doing. And that's the thing, the odd couple stacked. I mean, you got him, Alex Tyshirt, who you still talk to.
Oh yeah, he's literally one of my best friends. So yeah, absolutely.
The GOAT Alex Tyshirt. I see you and Coop get into it on Twitter all the time about
takes. Oh yeah,
so, yeah.
And you know, I consider Coop a friend as well, and you know, yeah, like we like he's a Bronco fan. Like I make fun of him for it.
Yep,
and so on.
Yeah. Speaking of that, sorry, Coop, if you know your Broncos. I mean, last week against the Texans, that's another thing. We'll get back. We're back in week 2 here. Emmett Douglas, along with Nick Wright. Get me on Twitter at EmmettNocy04. Get Nick at is Nick Wright. IS Nick Wright. Now, week 2 was very interesting. I mean, I feel like the theme of week 2 was comeback victories, and I mean, we had the Dolphins who came back against the Ravens, the Jets. I mean, you had all these teams.
The Cardinals.
The Cardinals, yeah. Oh, God. Yeah.
But no, start it off. Where do you want to go with it?
But the Broncos, man, Russell Wilson, and I mean, they barely put up any points on the Texans. It was not a good game.
No.
And they didn't, I mean, Russell Wilson, I feel like he played better last week, like at least statistically. He played better. I mean, there's like 300 something yards. Didn't really quite do that this week against the Texans. But I picked the Broncos to go last in the division, Nick.
Wow.
That take isn't too far out so far. I mean,
no,
they're 0-2, and that, I mean, I get that, you know, Nathaniel Hackett, who Coop hates, speaking of Justin Cooper, you know, I think he is you know, he could be blamed for it, but it's just crazy to me how bad that the Broncos have been performing, because even last year, they were like towards the end with that roster, they were looking good. And you bring in Russell Wilson and you bring in Hackett, Hackett, that was such a dumb play call in week 1, but I'll take it. But you can't the Texans, and you can't blow out the Texans, who are probably gonna be one of the worst teams in the NFL this year. I mean, I know the Texans are so weird, but to not put up points like that and to not ball out against the Texans kind of concerns me. And that's one of my takeaways from week 2 is Russell Wilson and the Denver Broncos need to get their act together like ASAP. And I'm sure you, as a Chargers guy, you're not rooting for that, but it needs to happen, man. I mean, if you want to win something as the Broncos, like statistically, it's very, I don't think any of the teams last year started 0-2 made the playoffs. I'm trying to remember the exact stat I saw here. But when you're 0-2, it's hard to get that momentum going. The Broncos need to fix it.
I love everything you said. And I'm going to double down and, well, not going to double down yet. That's coming later.
All right. What you got?
I picked the Broncos. I switch it up. At first, I thought they were going to win the AFC West before the season started because they were 8-9 last year with Marcus freaking Mariota. I thought Russell would get him at least 3 to 4
It was Teddy last year.
Oh, Teddy Bridgewater. I'm an idiot.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Where was Mariota last year? That's Raiders. He was back for the Raiders.
On my notes. All right. Anyway, my bad. But yeah, I just thought Russell Wilson would at least be 3 to 4 wins better. And guess what? I'm not down on them. So that Russell Wilson played a good game in the first week, and that was
it wasn't his fault at all, actually.
No, that was the worst coaching thing that I've ever seen, and I think everyone would agree with that. That was a freak loss that shouldn't have happened against his former rival.
Because I knew when it was on I think the 49 or whatever. I'm like, oh, this is Russell Wilson's spot. It's over.
I can't stand the Mannings. I'm just going to be upfront with it. But I was watching the Manning cast at the time like a hypocrite. And I was like with Peyton was like 30 seconds were ticking by and everyone is just like, time out. Like, what is happening right now? And then he went, then he chose to try to get the second longest field goal in NFL history. It didn't, I don't know what the hell is going on here. So I think that the only thing I'd be down on for the Broncos is his decisions for the rest of the year. But honestly, and I know it was the Texans last week, but Russell Wilson still has plenty of gas left. I'm not completely down on the Broncos. Like I don't think they're a joke. I don't think anything they should be 2-0 right now. They should be 2-0, and I still believe in Russell Wilson. He still, it bothers me. Now the Raiders, they're done. They're definitely.
We'll get to that in a minute. But the thing is for Russell is I've watched this as a Seahawk fan. Is he plays super weird where he plays like absolute dirt, and then he'll play really well. You just don't know. And to reiterate here, last in the AFC West isn't a bad team at all. That's not what I'm saying. I think the Broncos, it's going to be a fight. It's not, it's going to be an easy last place for the Broncos. I had Chargers, Raiders, Chiefs, Broncos. That was my order of the division. I don't know, how that's going to look. I think my biggest hope is the Broncos maybe finishing last. The Raiders need to get something together. Well, I'll let you go first on that one here as we're coming to you from Blindside Studios, talking about week 2 of the NFL season. Giving some takeaways, giving some thoughts. Nick Wright, who is a very, very diehard Chargers fan, long-suffering Chargers fan, is Nick Wright on Twitter. Do you have anything else that you want to plug, or is it just your Twitter that you're active?
No, I got nothing. Yes, I do work for a few TV shows at this point. I've kind of transitioned from radio to there. So again, why you have me on your show, I'm really not sure, but I appreciate it. But no, yeah, I got nothing to plug.
All right. Yeah, so if you ever see Nick's face on TV, you heard.
Well, here's the thing, Emmett. You should have really. I can't believe you tagged me in this because I think if you just put Nick Wright, people would have flocked because of the great Nick Wright on First Things First on FS1. By the way, you know what? Can I?
You want me to rip other media? I'm not. I don't listen to First Things or nothing like that. Now that it's not at 4:30 in the morning, I can probably listen to it live. But it's not that I don't like Nick Wright as a host or as a person. but I disagree with like 75% of his takes. I
I
don't
get
know
that,
what
but he's
it
good
is.
on TV. You know, Emmett, I just want to backtrack really quick. I'm sorry to do this, but when you asked me earlier about like crazy radio stuff, well, back when I first started working at Fox Sports, about a couple months later is when Cowherd basically recruited the TV Nick Wright, and the amount of tweets at me that was supposed to be for him were just crazy. And so I was working a weekend with Mark Willard, and this was when Nick was kind of fresh on the scene at Fox Sports, right? And I told Mark before the segment that, hey, man, he's killing my Twitter. And then so Mark brought it up when he first got on, and that Nick Wright actually heard of me. That was probably 5-6 years ago now. So that was kind of like he actually knew who I was. So I should have added that in one of my funny radio things.
Yeah, yeah, I'm sure he, whenever you were running the show and if ever he jumped on, you were probably telling, going on, hey, there's another Nick Wright here.
Oh yeah, I mean, I still get it. I still get it. I mean, not as much, but I still get it to this day. It's just it is what it is.
Yeah, he gets flamed, man. Skip Bayless gets flamed too on Twitter.
He kind of deserves it. So.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. But yeah, we'll go over to the Raiders here and another embarrassing game. I mean, God, I'll let you go in on this one first. I mean, you said they're done. I mean, they lost to the Cardinals in overtime, 2 fumbles in overtime, with both of them being Hunter Renfrow, the second one obviously being recovered for that game-winning touchdown. And Kyler was not looking very good to start the game, and it kind of progressed for Kyler Murray later on as the game went through and all of that. But man, that was another one where I'm just like, wow, like that just made me scratch my head for the Raiders. I mean, that starting out 0-2, it's just not. I mean, that's not good for you. But then again, it's early in the season. For like, all these guys are kind of new to each other. Derek Carr, Devontae Adams, and Josh McDaniels, those guys I'm referring to. Maybe stuff could work out, but God, the way that you can't lose to a Cardinals team like that, man, especially the way they did, where they came back and almost like they came back. The Cardinals were able to come back on and take it to overtime and stomp them. I mean, it's just crazy. Devontae only had 2 catches in that one for 12 yards and a touchdown, but yeah, not good.
I tried to tell people that Derek Carr getting Devontae Adams, really not the biggest deal in the world. Derek Carr, I think, is such a marginal quarterback. Even though, yes, they beat people say I'm obviously still bitter. Yes, I am about that Week 18 last year, and they beat us to get into the playoffs.
That was, yeah.
And yes, it's just I don't understand it because I don't know. They end up winning these games. And I don't know how they're like the opposite of the Chargers last year. There's so many games where they should have lost and they won by the skin of their teeth. And it wasn't because of Derek Carr. There's games where Max Crosby stepped up, their defense stepped up. I'm just a Derek Carr hater. I just am. And you could see, even though he had a pretty decent stat line, right? But if you watch the game, he misses Devontae a couple times, and it was just brutal. Yeah, and it was just brutal. And then they came back. This actually happened when I actually left like the room because I couldn't watch the game anymore. And then when I came back, I saw the Cardinals got a fumble and then it was a scoop and score. So I think that was maybe good luck for the Cardinals there because I couldn't believe I couldn't watch anymore. They shouldn't have won that game and they were going to win that game. And it didn't happen. So it was just pretty brutal bad luck for the Raiders there. But just starting 0-2, and when you're in this AFC West, when you have to play the Chargers again, the Chiefs twice, the Broncos twice.
Yeah, it's not.
I just think I know it's only week 2 coming into week 3, but I just think going 0-2, that's going to cost them down in week 16, week 17-ish.
Yep, exactly. Because I mean. If you start out 2-0, if you think about it, that's time where you can kind of not rush or play the starters so hard before playoffs. Which another crazy stat that I saw on Twitter was, I knew it at the time, but I forgot about it. Was both the top seeds, NFC and AFC. That would be the Tennessee Titans. That would be the Green Bay Packers. They both got eliminated in their first games. I mean tell me that. I mean that's something else here, and 0-2. I mean, 2 games. At first, I mean, my view on this has kind of changed. I used to be like, oh, whatever. They go 0-2, but it's just like when you think about it, the NFL season is one of those rare leagues where like most games matter. Like 1 or 2 games could come back and bite you in the butt. And the Raiders, I mean, Derek Carr, I think, you know, I kind of disagree with you on Devontae. I think as long as everything works in the favor, you know, the Derek Carr doesn't look stupid and we seen him where he can make plays. It's just, it was so bad for the Cardinals game on Sunday. You can't expect to win games when your quarterback plays like that. I mean, the Bengals, that's a whole nother case right there. You know, the quarterback not playing well. Joe Burrow's missing some stuff, and God, that line is terrible. I mean, it really is. We'll get to that more, but a lot of these quarterbacks are just under-delivering, and they have a lot more to kind of accomplish. But I want to go over to this whole Trey Lance broken ankle injury because I might get hate for this take, but let me break it down. So the Niners played the Seahawks on Sunday. It was a crappy game. I gave up. I stopped watching it. I'm a Seahawks fan. I turned on. I usually have the red zone in one game play, and I forbidded the Seahawks game. I switched it to the Broncos Texans, and it was the Raiders game. But Jimmy G, the story of this one, there's really no story at all from the game besides Geno Smith is Geno Smith. The story is Trey Lance left very early with a broken ankle that's taken surgery to heal. He's out for the year. And you hate to see it, right? And I'm being sincere here. You hate to see it. You really do. Young guy, you traded up 9 picks and, you moved up a lot to pick this guy up back in the 2021 NFL draft. Last year, you had Jimmy G start. You guys almost won. This year, you're like, all right, we're going to start him, which is the right move. I agree with you. Was he, maybe not fully developed? Of course. But you can't expect rookie players to be like Tom Brady after the first year. I mean, yeah, it's going to happen. Sometimes they're going to be freaking good. But it's, some of these guys take a little bit longer to kind of get used to things. And what sucks about this Trey Lance injury is the long term, right? The Niners are missing out on a whole year of development for this guy, of him being on the football field. But the way you have to look at it is, I know Jimmy G misses in the playoffs. I get it. I mean, I've said on this very show that the Niners got lucky making it to the championship. I mean, sure. They really did. They really did. I mean, the Packers played like crap at home. I mean, and lost. But if you're the Niners, you have to obviously swallow the Trey Lance pill. That sucks. I mean, you're literally losing a year development. But on the lowest of keys, the Niners might be better with Jimmy G for just this 1 year. I mean, the Niners, they could make it to the NFC Championship again. I mean, they have a very stacked team. And, I mean, yeah, Jimmy G is still their letdown, but Trey Lance was not playing very, very well. So, I said the Niners should keep Jimmy G. This is the most Jimmy G loving I'll ever do. Most Jimmy G ball watching I'll ever do in an episode. But it really did save him, man. And it just sucks. I mean, to see it, I know Coward got hate for having the take, but at least I can acknowledge development. I mean, this injury could hurt them in the long run pretty badly. Development is very important, Nick. I mean, because I think the Niners are gonna make the playoffs, but they're not gonna make. I don't think they're gonna make the Super Bowl. I mean, unless the Rams do some hangover stuff. I'm not high on the Packers. I mean,
NFC stinks. I don't know.
I like the Eagles. I actually like the Eagles. I think the Eagles could be a very interesting team there.
Jalen Hurts starting to turn me. I'm not gonna lie.
Jalen Hurts, what?
Wasn't big on Jalen Hurts. He's starting to turn me a little bit. But
yeah, I picked the Eagles to win and make the playoffs easily, win their division. I'm not high on the Cowboys. I think the Giants still have some work to do. The Commanders, I'm not high on Carson Wentz. I mean, they're gonna fight. Don't get me wrong. They're gonna be good, but when it comes down to week 17 and week 18, when you're 2 games out of the playoffs, I can't trust Carson Wentz. I mean, That Colts roster was freaking amazing last year. They really were.
And really quick? They were. And guess who was the quarterback the year before that Phillip Rivers, who got them
baby.
to the playoffs and played his ass off against Kansas City. Now they have Matt Ryan. They stink so far. I just want to point that out. I just got to give Phillip Rivers some love. Sorry.
It's all good. We'll get to that. But what are your thoughts on the Trey Lance injury, man? I mean, what do you think it entails for the Niners? Is it better to have Jimmy G for this year? As terrible as that sounds, is it a better move? I mean, what are your thoughts?
My fiance is the biggest Niners fan maybe in the world. When they drafted him last year, moving up those spots, I just didn't like it. I didn't like his college tape. I just wasn't a fan. And
you want to know what interesting Trey Lance stat that I saw after the Bills game? He has played more times in the snow than he has the rain.
Wow. All right. Well, okay.
Minnesota kid, man. Minnesota
but
kid.
I just didn't see it. And I even there was a preseason game I went to last year, the Chargers and the Niners, and Trey played. And I don't see it. And Jimmy Garoppolo as a starter is like 30 something and 10 or something ridiculous. Yeah. And now again, I'm the biggest quarterback wins aren't a stat thing. But Jimmy G, he's got them to a Super Bowl and 2 NFC Championship games. So he gets them there. I don't know why how they couldn't even trade him is one thing I'm still confused by.
I am, I think Jimmy G, I mean, he could do better in the playoffs. I think but it is wild. I mean, statistically and all that, he looks like one of the top quarterbacks in the NFL. I'm wondering, did teams really make calls for him? Because, obviously the Seahawks, I think they might have, but the Niners would be stupid giving Jimmy G to the Seahawks and helping him out. I think the only way that would happen is if, obviously, Jimmy G got released. But you're right. It is mind-boggling. I mean, the only thing I can think of is that shoulder situation, maybe.
Right. And my thing is just I think that the Niners knew that they might not. I don't think the brass were sold on Trey Lance. I think to give him confidence, they gave him the starting job, and they don't want to have a quarterback controversy, even though it was. I think they just wanted to have him sign him as the largest paid backup ever. Yeah. In case something like this happens, because Trey does move. He's a mobile guy. Doesn't move like Lamar. But I think this whole time it didn't make sense because I think teams did call. I just don't believe that no teams didn't call them about them because there's at least 5 teams in the league that could use Jimmy G right now.
Yep, I'd take him on my Seahawks. Browns for half a year while Deshaun Watson more than half a year.
So I think the Niners brass just wanted to keep him just in case something like this happens. And now watch. Yep. Watch Jimmy. I bet Jimmy G should be smiling in that locker room right now. And just next time the next Niners home game, you should all flip the fans the bird because watch, he's gonna start winning. Watch, they're gonna be.
They got the Broncos this week, actually.
Oh, yeah, and I'm rooting for them. I'm rooting for Jimmy. Trust me.
Yep.
I can't wait to see Jimmy ball out this year. I think he's going to.
Yeah, I think
that's a big chip. It's like really, you're just gonna make me a backup and. Like this rookie basically is going to start over me when I just took you to an NFC Championship game. I think he has a big chip on his shoulder.
Yep. How about this, though? He's on a 1-year deal. Is he a Niner next year? I mean, because that's the thing that, like, if you're Trey Lance, you could be scared about is if Jimmy G kind of just goes full-on sicko mode and takes the Niners to the playoffs or something, and the Niners like, okay, maybe we want Jimmy G. But then again, if you're Jimmy G, you're like, this team has screwed me over multiple times. Right. I don't know if I can stay here with this Trey Lance guy behind me.
If he gets them to the playoffs and another good gets them to the playoffs at least and has a good playoff game at least and gets them maybe to the NFC Championship again. I mean, if he gets them to the Super Bowl or NFC Championship game, the Niners he's going to stay. I can't see the Niners letting him leave after that.
Trey Lance, and it's going to drop Trey Lance's value significantly. Like I don't know if a team
I feel bad for
him
him
a first. I like Lance. I think he has potential to be a very good player. You hate to see this. I mean, if you're Trey Lance, I mean, you kind of want the Niners to do bad this year, maybe.
Of course,
if you really care about them.
Absolutely.
But maybe. I mean. He's not the Niners aren't getting what they gave up for Trey Lance back in value. I mean, Like, do you think they're getting a first? I mean, I don't know if a team's going to want to bite on that. Seeing
Not a first. I don't think so. No way.
it could be like a Carson Wentz type Colts trade where it's like a 3rd round pick or something like that, or like a third and a second. But no way team's getting up a first. So like,
No.
But then again, if you're going to the Super Bowl or the NFC Championship, I mean, you can't be mad. I mean,
no.
Yeah, you lost the trade. You could have had assets, whatever. I hear you, but it's just like, God, dude, the Niners. I mean, they can't be mad. They can't say that's an L. I mean, they tried. No one expected Jimmy G to kind of like last year. No one expected the Niners to be as good as they were.
No,
and we all kind of we all forgot about them.
And it's weird because I love the Niners because I am maybe the biggest Aaron Rodgers hater of all time, and he's
my friend.
Stuck him again in the
my
playoffs.
friend's the biggest Aaron Rodgers hater ever. It's so funny.
Really? Okay. Well, I mean, I've said I think he's the most overrated quarterback ever. So
yeah.
Because
I mean, my friend's argument is Aaron Rodgers always has teams around him, and he can't win Super Bowls, and people are comparing him to Tom Brady, and it's valid. It's his personality. I don't know, like his personality.
I think that's where my hate comes from. He has 2 good playoff runs in his whole career, and he's getting compared to Tom Brady. That's where my hate really stems from, because he's not even in the same galaxy as Tom Brady.
No, Tom Brady's I can't even say arguably. He is the GOAT. I at
this point it's not arguable.
Rob Parker. I can get in an argument with Rob Parker all day, but I'm not changing his mind, and I know I can win it.
He'll never but he'll never back down from that. So.
Rob Parker and Rob G. I don't think Rob G's not as bad, but he's definitely a Brady hater.
Well, I mean, it was the Tuck rule. I would be a hater too. So
yeah. And Ryan Papa Bear, the Twitch streamer who works with Howard now, he is I think he might be even more of a bigger hater than Rob Parker.
I haven't seen that guy in a while. Yeah, I agree with you.
Yeah. I think that guy was probably the biggest Tom Brady hater. Probably in Los Angeles. Like he is a massive hater.
But hey, I expect every Raider fan to be, so it's not.
Yeah, Roberto too, probably Danny G. All
of course, yep, the great Roberto, of course.
Yep, best laugh in radio. I think he overtook John Ramos there. I mean, you're a radio fanatic.
Nobody beats Ramos. No way.
Nah, is Berto? Have you heard Berto's laugh? It's great.
I can't think about the top of my head, but
next time you listen to Ben, listen for it. You'll be like, oh.
I'm listening to Ben in a minute, but yeah.
Yeah, you're probably not up that late.
I'll pop up a podcast.
Yeah. They're cooking with Roberto. He always does good with that.
Well, no, I know. I see his tweets about what he cooks, and it looks amazing.
I know. I think if I ever get out to California, Roberto, you gotta slide some dinner, man. It all sounds good, like every single one of his recipes. But yeah, why don't we jump?
Authentic Mexican food is my favorite, so I would love a dish from.
Oh yeah, and that's the thing in Washington too. I mean, unless you know like a real like Hispanic family, you don't really get authentic Mexican food. So I don't know how experienced I could say I am in the authentic Mexican style food. I mean, I haven't really had it. I've had what they say is authentic, but
my fiance is half Mexican, so she knows how to cook some good food. So I'm just saying. Ooh,
yeah. But another story you mentioned it is the Colts and Matt Ryan stinking out loud on Sunday. I feel like the Colts, whenever they play the Jacksonville Jaguars, I believe it was in Jacksonville, they just can't win. I mean, it happened week 18 of last year. I mean, they don't really have receivers, and I think the Colts, I think they're going to be, I'm not really I'm not too big on the Titans. Can't even lie. I'm not too big on Tannehill after that playoff game. I've lost all faith in them. I think they're still winning.
And where did Derrick Henry go? I mean, he just doesn't look the same. But
that's what you said before the show too. Is running backs, or you might have said this on the show, but running backs are just not the same, man. They're not they're not going off like they did in 2021. So you have to wonder what's up with Henry. I think maybe stuff weird. Could get better, but Jonathan Taylor didn't have the best of games. Matt Ryan was trash. I mean. The Jags, they kept up with the Commanders in week 1. They beat the Colts. I mean, is Doug Peterson doing stuff right? I mean, that's fair. That's a fair thing to assess here. But Matt Ryan, man, I mean, the Colts, maybe they go after another receiver.
He's cooked.
You think he's done? Like you don't think he's good like at all?
I think he's done because it's been a couple years now where he just doesn't look like the same guy. Not everybody looks as good as Phillip Rivers in his last year. And I think Rivers had more game left, but he went out. I'm glad that he went out not on top, obviously, but he got the Colts to the playoffs. That was his final year, his first year not on the Chargers. And I just think that was a good accomplishment for him. And now it's aging like fine wine because 2 quarterbacks later, the Colts are terrible. And the one thing about, I like Matty Ice. I'm not a Matt Ryan guy, but I respect him. And I just don't want to see him have a terrible year and just go, just like Big Ben looked pretty bad his last year. You know what I mean? Like Matt Ryan is looking.
I hope he doesn't. I'm a big Matt Ryan guy. I don't think I hope he doesn't have a Big Ben year.
Is he a Hall of Famer? Is he a Hall of Famer to you?
I need to see one more run, man. I do. Because I mean, these last couple of years, especially with the Falcons, I mean, he hasn't really been the same like Matt Ryan since like 2018. Like 2018 was his last baller year. I mean,
he's borderline. He's borderline.
Yeah, borderline. Yes, I think if they actually make the playoffs and he wins a playoff game or 2 this year, then maybe. Then actually, yes, because that with that AFC. Then no matter who you get in the wild card isn't an easy. It's not an easy team at all. I mean the NFC it could be an easy team if he was in the NFC, but the AFC it's going to be a hard team. And if he can win, I mean that really proves something to me. I mean the Colts. I just don't buy the Titans. I think they're actually going to win the division, even if they do
really
stink a little bit. Yeah.
Okay. I mean. With that,
I feel like AJ Brown losing him is very crucial. I feel like Derrick Henry not looking like Derrick Henry through 2 weeks could be the theme of the season for the Titans because he was even with AJ Brown, he was a big part of their offense.
That division stinks. So I mean, I guess it's not crazy. I still have the Titans. I think I just still have the Titans up there.
It's Titans Colts for top 2 for sure.
Absolutely, getting Brown I think was a big deal. Yeah, the fact that the Ravens lost him to them, that's still a whole debacle. I don't know about the Ravens this year. We can talk about that in a minute. But yeah, I just don't want to see Matt Ryan lose his possible Hall of Fame jacket because of this terrible year. As we'll see.
Nope.
Oh, real quick. Hey, man, real quick. Is Phillip Rivers a Hall of Famer to you?
Yes.
Thank you. All right, that's all I want to hear.
Yeah, I mean, God, what that guy did for the Chargers for so long, and even to finish. He had a solid year for being, last year in the NFL and being, that and dealing with all his kids. I mean, he had a very solid year to end it and took the Colts to the playoffs. Obviously the Chargers, like he was statistically great, but like, God, the Chargers, man, I feel like the Chargers, that was just the Charger luck. If he won like a couple of Super Bowls or something like that, God, the teams, I mean, it would be different talk about Phillip Rivers than it is.
A couple underrated things about that talk. It's not talked about enough. When they first moved to LA for 4 years in that soccer stadium that only held 20,000
Carson
people.
Field, yep. Or Carson.
And
was it Carson?
So they literally played a road game for 4 years. Yeah. Also, Phillip Rivers never missed a game ever in his life. He played on a torn ACL against the undefeated Patriots.
Yeah.
And my final ace in the hole that people that don't think he's a Hall of Famer, Dan Fouts is a first. And by the way, I don't think Rivers is a first ballot. I'm not going there. He should get in. Dan Fouts is a first ballot Hall of Famer without even seeing a Super Bowl with 1 MVP. And Rivers blows out every one of his stats by a country mile. That's all. That's my final argument about the whole Rivers Hall of Fame thing. If Fouts is the first ballot, Rivers is getting in. Simple as that.
Yeah. That's fair. That's fair. Why don't Emmett Douglas and Nick Wright? We're gonna get into week 2 here. Emmett NoC04 on Twitter is Nick Wright on Twitter. You can go and make sure you don't mute Nick because he'll have some very, very hot Chargers takes throughout the year. I mean,
they will eventually, but
yeah, very hot. Especially, I mean, if you coming on here and on Twitter and saying this is a hot seat year for Brandon Staley, and if they look bad, and it probably will be a hot seat year. Because how good that division is and all that, and how good that Chargers roster is. I mean, you can use that one in your face. I mean, I've heard one. I think the only person I've really heard say it was Chris Broussard that this could be a hot seat year.
He has. He did that on First Things First. I remember that, and it absolutely is. Yes.
I think it was your quote tweet that I saw that from. I'm like, all right,
Emmett, I got my bookmarks ready to go. Trust me.
Yep. You had on Thursday and the Friday when we were in works of finding a time to record. Your Twitter was very wild of anger at the Chargers game. So yeah, you were.
Yeah,
you're
that's why. Yeah, I go a little too crazy when live in the game. That's one of my
me too.
that's one of my annoying. That's why a lot of people don't interact with me because I'm just.
Now I kind of stop from when it's my teams. I stop. I'll just text the what I'd tweet to my friends at that point. Like my friend last week, I was texting during the Seahawks game as a diehard Niners fan, and I was just texting him all these horrible things about Jimmy G every time the Niners would murk us, or horrible things about Kyle Shanahan. So yeah. And now on Twitter, if you say something too wild, they might take you off the site, man.
I know. I mean, I feel like I don't cross that line, but I will say when I go on my little tirades, I definitely, let's just say I'm not quite sober when I watch Charger games. So that's kind of another, little
little you have the confidence. Yeah.
Never drink and tweet, as I say, but I never follow my own rule.
Yeah. I mean, that's very smart rule, especially, I mean, Roberto, when you can tell at Raider_Rob24, by the way, you could tell when that guy's had a couple. I mean, it's all F the Dodgers, F Dave Roberts. This guy sucks, man. Get off my team. What a moron.
Can I just say, Roberto's a great guy. Dodger fans kill me because they are the most privileged fan base in baseball and maybe sports. Like 11 straight years of winning. Like you just won a couple of years ago.
I'm a Mariners guy with the Dodgers are kind of my side team. I see it from both angles. I mean, the Mariners haven't this. I mean, this could be the first year in 20. I haven't been alive since they made the playoffs.
I get it. It's as a Laker fan, it's kind of like championship or bust. I guess I get it how it's with the Dodgers, but it's like they're 40 games over 500, and it's like they complain still. I'm like, I'm a suffering Angels fan. I would kill for that. So yeah.
I mean, the Dodgers fans, they go completely wild on Twitter.
I was at the game last night when I thought the stadium would be empty because they clinched. They have nothing to play for. It was packed.
I'll give the Dodgers fans this. They are very very wild. Like they will tweet, random stuff, and then they pull Arnie's where they have these takes and they change them, right?
Yes.
But what the good thing about the Dodgers, their fans, is that every time, like no matter what, like they had a surprising, I think it was like 47,000 or something like that, when it was like 106 degrees out. And this was the weekend of the where the was it UCLA Bowling Greens game or something like that, had like nobody in the stadium. It's like, I'll give the Dodger fans that. I think the worst fan base in sports, and this could be a hot take, but half their fans don't I'm just tired of seeing it, is all these Cowboy apologists, man. Like the only like two Cowboys, or the one Cowboys fan that actually has a good take about their team is Bobo. Bobo is the only guy who actually makes sense.
Oh yeah, Arnell. Yeah.
Bobo on the radio. That guy, he's the only one. I hit him up and I was like, you're the only smart Cowboys fan. Thank you. And he put haha like it was on Twitter.
He's a smart guy. Like we talked. I mean, after I left from Fox, we still kind of worked with each other in the same building. So I'd always rap with him about sports and stuff. That's how I feel as a Charger fan. Like he's not just a bootlicker for the team, no matter what. Like he's actually, he's not. Yeah. So I know what you mean. Like
I don't know what the Cowboys did to me. I just can't stand their fan base.
I don't have any beefs with them really, but like how they're still America's team is confusing to me.
Yes, how?
Like,
all right, if we're thinking about America's team,
who would it be? Actually,
Chiefs,
it's kind of like a
Chiefs, Patriots, but now the Patriots aren't good. But like maybe this America's team thing has to change every day.
Or just there doesn't need to be an America's team. That's just like a made up fable word from the 90s. Like just do away with it.
I like the America's game of the week though. That's cool.
Of course,
yeah. Other takeaways from week 2 is Joe Burrow, man, in the Bengals. Could both the Bengals and the Rams? I mean, the Rams almost lost to the freaking Falcons, and they almost blew a 28-3 lead to the Falcons.
Yeah.
which is very ironic. But could both these Bengals and Rams, man, I think they are. Could this be 2 Super Bowl hangover teams?
You know what? Before the season started, I had the Rams tiptoeing back to the Super Bowl.
Me too.
I thought the NFC, I got the NFC stinks, but now there's some teams where I'm kind of like, okay, maybe I'm wrong.
You got the Eagles. You're talking about the Eagles and
yes, Eagles, Eagles especially. Eagles.
Yes, Eagles.
Yeah.
You know what I'd love to see real fast here? An Eagles-Bills Super Bowl matchup.
Yes. I mean, we can talk about the Bills in a second too. But I just think Stafford's shoulder is still messed up. I don't know if it's going to be better throughout the whole year, but I had Rams as an easy, just going back to the Super Bowl, and Stafford just doesn't look great. And,
yep.
But I'm now out on them by any means, but I
agree.
I don't know about my Super Bowl pick anymore because I don't think Stafford's shoulder is right, and I think McVay's kind of trying to hide it a little bit.
Yeah. Well, I definitely think he is hiding it because he said in August, 3rd, 4th week of August that Matthew was completely fine. And then when the injury happened, which was beginning of August, they said it was going to take a full month to heal. It's like, I feel like you're not wrong. Maybe they could be, hiding something a little bit here, but you're making me talk about it. My Super Bowl pick was the Battle of LA. I thought the Chargers could make the Super Bowl against the Rams. I'm not, it's only
you had the Chargers this year?
Yeah. That was me.
Wow.
If that blew up, if you saw that on Charger Twitter, that was me. The Battle of LA, Chargers and Rams.
I don't know how I didn't see that.
Yeah, I'll put it out there again, the repost. Because it's still week 2, I can still, put my Super Bowl picks out there. But yeah, I had the Chargers Rams, and both these it's week 2, you never know, but especially in the NFC, there are some teams that could give the Rams a lot of troubles. I mean, the Packers, it's not their year this year.
No.
So I think the Niners with Jimmy G are going to be an obstacle. I think the Eagles are going to be an obstacle. I mean, there's a couple obstacles there for sure.
That's about it, though. I mean, that's kind of about it,
Yeah, I was trying to think of more. I mean,
yeah, I mean,
the Packers
doesn't have Dak.
Dallas sucks anyway, no matter what. I mean,
yeah,
Eagles are winning that. I don't know, and that's the thing too. With Dallas sucks. I mean, Joe Burrow should have mopped that Cowboys team on Sunday. I mean, the line just does not seem to hold up. He's not playing like Joe Shiesty from last year. It seems like they're just feeding the ball to Mixon over and over and over and praying that Mixon just carries everything back.
He's had 2 horrible games now, and I don't see any
2 should-have-won games.
Media, anyone talking about how terrible he is, and it's blowing my mind. I don't get it. And now he's so weak, he has to turn off his social media to concentrate more. Like, dude, where's his swag? Like, he's got the coats, the swag chains, the glasses, and now it's been 2 bad weeks. Now you got to go off social media. What a joke! Like, it's a joke.
All right, I hear you on 2 bad weeks. It's embarrassing, but like Kyler Murray in his Call of Duty addiction. Maybe Joe Burrow has a Twitter addiction and he wants to kind of get ready for the game. Maybe he's on Twitter too much.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't have yes, that is, what we'd call weak. I don't disagree with you there, but you have to wonder, maybe is he not going to admit to his bads and saying that Twitter's his issue? Because, I mean, we saw the film clause in Kyler Murray's contract. I mean, I think Joe Burrow's much more into football than Kyler is. But, hey, man, I mean, with younger people, I see it now. Social media is everything. It's like maybe that's why I deleted it to focus more on the game. I mean, everyone's always on TikTok or always making these TikToks. I mean, it's not even Twitter anymore. It's all TikTok, man.
Right. No, so I get you. It's just I just think
it's very ironic timing. Yes, you're right. Right after you have 2 bad games, swipe the social media. That's that's some fame getting into your head stuff right there. Russell Wilson.
I mean, if he turns back into Joe Cool or Joe Burr, whatever the hell they call him, it's because of this. I mean, maybe that's what he needed. It could happen. I don't know. But
yeah, I was just kind of thinking, kind of playing a little bit devil's advocate there because you have a point. I mean, it's just it could be a coincidence, but really, right after 2 horrible games that you should have won and you didn't. I mean, the Bengals. you'd think they make improvements on the line, but these improvements aren't looking good. I mean, I think their line is actually worse than it was last year.
I will say, yeah, it looks like it. Yeah.
It 7 sacks against the Steelers, I believe 6 against the Cowboys. And Cooper Rush, he scored 17 in the first half. Didn't they like?
Yeah.
He barely most of his points were from that first half. I mean, Joe Burrow couldn't do anything. And I mean, I think it's not. I mean, Burrow's part of it. The line's part of it. There needs to be some better play calling. And if Joe can come back and who they have week 3, actually, I'm blanking here. Who is it? Do you know?
Against Cowboys?
No, who the Bengals got week 3?
Oh, here I will find out in 2 seconds.
Because I think they got
the Jets. So I think they're good there.
If they lose to the Jets,
the
season's over.
It's red alert. Yeah, that's
the bum ass Jets. The season is over. Yeah. Yep. But,
and speaking of Jets, really quick, how about the resurgence of Joe Flacco? Wow.
I know. Speaking of FSR, John, and speaking of Ramos, we just see wow, what a tie-in. Did you hear about the John Ramos wall of Joe Flacco drops?
No. He has an actual entire wall of just Joe Flacco drops, or just a
people
couple
saying Joe Flacco.
Oh, okay.
So it would be yeah. I mean, I feel like we have drops. Like he has drops we don't even know about. Like that guy's he's all over the place. Another takeaway from week 2 is the Bills. I mean, Josh Allen is so dominant, man. I think this year, I think the Bills, I'm going to the AFC Championship. This is going to be their best year yet. I mean, I know it's only week 2, but I mean, the Titans, I know I hate on them, but I mean, that defense isn't too terrible. The Rams, the way they murked the Rams too on week 1 was just wild. I mean, I'm actually really excited for this week 3 matchup, Bills Dolphins. I think, is it?
Me too.
Yeah, it is. All right, cool.
I
thought I was getting ahead of myself.
Oh no! I just want to say besides Justin Herbert, I am the biggest Josh Allen guy. Like I was so wrong about him in his first year, and I think my AFC pick is going to be the Bills at this. I'm going to say Bills Rams this year. Josh Allen
MVP.
Well, okay. I'm still going to try to stick with my Herbert pick because I tweeted that out, so I can't back down. But if I'm being honest, like I think Josh Allen's going to get the MVP this year. He's ridiculous. I think I still have Mahomes the best quarterback in the league, but after this year, I think Allen's going to take that crown. I do.
Yep. Yeah, and I mean another takeaway too. I mean, there's not really like storylines to talk about because Josh Allen is just freaking incredible. That Bills team is very good.
Stacked.
Yep, stacked exactly. But you know, another kind of tiny observation here is Geno Smith isn't doing a thing. That Jalen Hurts is incredible. I mean, that was a crazy game on Monday Night Football. But yeah, man, the Bills are in to win, man. And the Buccaneers, this is another team that I want to get to, Nick. Okay. They're off. This could be, Tom Brady. I hate that he's probably going to end it on not a very good year. I mean, this offense has looked atrocious the first couple weeks. I mean, all this offensive line issues, like the receivers, Julio Jones, I mean, Chris Godwin, both having health issues. Maybe Tom Brady is regretting coming back. No, I'm joking. But man, how about all that? Like with all this family drama going into him playing football and then him breaking a tablet on the sideline and then Giselle tweeting on week 1 right before Sunday Night Football how excited she was to see Tom Brady play. I mean, it kind of all got lost in my head. Like I don't even understand the story anymore because there's so much they're not going to admit that everything when there's marriage issues, but how about that? I mean, that has to be putting a little bit of damper on Tom Brady's play. I mean, that has to be in his mind, right?
Emmett, he looks like Skeletor. There is something, and I really think their marriage, it's going to be the worst marriage maybe in American history. I could never see them divorcing, but it just saddens me that Brady has nothing to prove. Literally 0 to prove. And he is so obsessed with football. I don't want to just say that over his own family, but I mean, it's kind of, the proof is right there. I mean, He has
All
nothing
right.
to play for.
Actually, one thing I will do, the one thing that he hasn't proved that he kept talking about is he wants to play till he's 45. I mean, if he's back next year, I would be very shocked. No way he comes back for another year.
No, I don't think so either. This has to be his last year. And by the way, I know like they don't look great, but I mean they're 2-0. I mean they're going to run that. They're going to run that division. I mean, you know, Brady's going to be Brady.
The Saints are they're a weird team, but yeah, Brady's definitely. I mean, they're always going to be in the mix. I mean, and that's the thing too with Tom Brady being Tom Brady is I'm sure there's always those random people that just come out of nowhere for Tom Brady that he throws to, like that could happen. I mean, but they could get eaten up by like a very aggressive defense in the playoffs. I mean, their line is eaten up, man. It's so like you hate to see it. I mean, Tom Brady, 45-year-old dude, if he takes one bad shot.
I know they're missing their 3 offensive guys, but Brady gets the ball out faster than anybody in the history of the NFL. I don't see him taking that one big hit. He gets it out too fast. And the refs are in his favor too. So,
yep. Exactly.
How about real quick? I mean, what do you think about the Mike Evans defending him with Rashawn Lattimore? I thought that was fantastic. I love seeing and even Leonard Fournette came up too. It's like it's Tom Brady. Like, don't touch him. I thought that was great. Yeah,
I mean that's the thing. Like that's like the dad of football right there. Like that. Like everybody like. Looking up to if you don't look up to Tom Brady, man, like as a football player, I mean, you say what you want to say about his personality, but him on the field, I mean, you can't mess with him. I mean, he's the GOAT. He has accolades for days to prove it. Literally, I mean, when you have nothing to prove besides you want to play till you're 45, you've proved everything you could. That guy owes as much respect as you can give him at that point. I mean.
And, you know, I want to see a lot of media apologize because remember that ridiculous rumor like a month ago or so where Tom Brady with he was supposed to be on The Masked Singer when he was actually going through like a lot of family drama. Like people need to apologize for that because that was the most ridiculous rumor I think I've ever heard in sports. Like, I just
that's the thing too. That was such a stupid story. I knew it was something because Brady could have been, you know, whatever, just plain hooky. But either way, let's pretend there's none of this family stuff at all. Brady does not need he's one of those guys where I don't think he needs a preseason and training camp. He's done so much. I mean, it shouldn't have been. It's Tom Brady. Let the guy come on, man. He's been in the league for so long. He doesn't need any of that training camp stuff. His family at that point is more important. Anyone who rips him for taking that time off, stop it. Come on. And didn't he miss practice again yesterday? Wasn't that? I'm asked like a very small reporter on Twitter. If he did, let him get his stuff together, man.
Exactly.
I mean, come on. I mean, family's more important.
On the field, he's going to be fine. Let him get it. Yeah, take a day.
He doesn't even have to be on the Bucs. I mean, for real. He could. This was all him coming back. He could have. He could have stayed, and you know he could have gone over to Fox and got his money. But no, he loves the game of NFL. He loves it too much.
It's going to cost him a marriage, but it is what it is. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. That you said it. It's a very interesting marriage. I mean, it really is. Well,
the thing is, and I'll go back to Giselle. I remember I did one of my segments with Jason McIntyre 5 years ago. I mean, I remember doing a thing with him, and like Giselle wanted him. She was begging him to retire after he beat Seattle. What was that, like 10 years ago? Like
that was 2015. Yep.
Okay, 7. Yeah. So I mean, it's just
2015.
She's been begging him to retire for so many years now, and like, so I get it. In her, you know, going into her mind, like she's like, why do you keep doing this? And he can't
clearly
stop.
They got the money. Money's never going to be an issue for them. I mean,
no, ever.
Yeah, I mean, I don't get maybe he. I mean, he was so quick to get a gig after retiring. You have to wonder, like, I mean, it's none of our business, but like, how like serious really do Tom and Giselle? Like, can they spend all this time together? Like, he already got his gig at Fox. I mean, it's such a weird marriage, man. It really.
I know, and she's probably mad at him because he had a guaranteed contract. And by the way, I kind of want Brady to retire because I can't wait to see how he is in the booth. So I think he's great.
Yes, so, because. You know, traditionally as it airs, players who were great on the field, just like Drew Brees was not good in the booth.
No.
Can Tom Brady change it? I mean, clearly.
I mean, what do you think about? I love Tony Romo. Do you like Romo?
Yeah. Oh yeah, I love Romo. I think
he's like
one
the
of the
one,
best.
you know, kind of.
He's one. Yeah.
That
Do you like Collinsworth?
I mean, I don't not like him. I don't love him.
Yeah.
It's all right. He can just be annoying sometimes. I can't.
Yeah.
I will say I can't stand Troy Aikman. I can't take Aikman.
I don't know. I actually don't. I never like got my Prime Video set up on my TV in here, but so I didn't really watch the Michaels Herb Street stuff after last week. Tonight. I hope they get it better. I mean, still hearing Al Michaels a curb hurts. It's so weird, man. I mean, Al Michaels, and it just wasn't like Michaels is gonna be Al Michaels. Gonna be. I mean, I love that dude. Like one of the better broadcasters. But I don't know. Just I feel like keeping him and Collinsworth like should have been the move. Like you should have tried to recruit them to Amazon. Like should have tried to do something. I mean, I don't know. Michaels and Collinsworth is like it works together. Like it makes Collinsworth less intolerable. I mean, Tirico's okay. He's all right, but he's not Al Michaels. No one's gonna be Al Michaels. I mean,
no.
That's Vince Scully. Like when that's when Al Michaels and unfortunately he passes away. That is gonna be. I think there's gonna be more talking about it than Vince Scully. Like he's probably one of the only people that can get that much love.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't disrespect the guy, right?
No, absolutely not. No.
Do you have any other takeaways from week 2?
One thing I'll say is that everyone in the media, Dolphins fans, freaking out about Tua having finally a really, really amazing game. Calm the hell down. All I see is media people comparing, just putting up how he has a winning percentage record and Herbert has a losing percentage record in the NFL. And it just goes back to quarterback. People who think quarterback wins is a stat drive me more insane than anything in sports, because people are already forgetting he got benched twice to Ryan Fitzpatrick. Like he has one breakout game. Okay, I will say this. If he balls out against the Bills this week, okay, then maybe my attention might perk up a little bit more, but I just want to slow down on this Tua stuff when he's been very mediocre at best until last week.
I see this. That's not too outlandish, right? And the Dolphins, this is by far the best team the Dolphins have had around him. I mean, shout out Tyreek Hill, by the way. Yeah. Great guy. Carried my fantasy. Shout out to Amon-Ra Brown. Thank you. Jalen Hurts, thank you as well. But yeah, they that's the thing. I mean, Herbert is one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL, and you were saying Tua is better. Come on, stop it. I mean, all this winning stuff, because the Dolphins, they've always had a very solid team. They just need to work on stuff. Now that they have Tua, Tyreek, Jalen Waddle, you got Mostert at running back. You have a good offensive line. Like that team's gonna be pretty. I mean, fun to watch.
Tua has no excuse this year. Like this is.
I said this at the beginning of the show, or at the beginning of the year. If the Dolphins are not good this year, if Tua's not good, if Tua is average or below average, see ya. You need to do something else. Yes. How can you be average or below average when you got freaking Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle as your top two wide receivers? How?
When I see these insecure Dolphins fans posting on social media about the Herbert comparisons, they're always going to be mad that they picked him over Herbert. That's what it's going to be like for the rest of their careers. And it's
Can you imagine?
Fun.
And I'm sure all the the sports talk radio connoisseurs who hate the what if games are going to hate me for this.
Oh, if he was a Dolphin? If Herbert was a Dolphin? Oh my God. They might have won a Super Bowl last year.
Yeah, they really. I mean, we're feeding Arnie, but man, that's Arnie. That was the most happy I've ever seen him last Sunday night. Listen to him and playing after the Dolphins won. He was like, Chris playing both my teams won. The Wildcats and the Dolphins.
You know what's annoying though? Like I miss working with him and Chris Plank so much, but he literally would get bets right all the time, and it annoyed everybody. And it was just hilarious.
Yeah, he would too, because when Arnie's right, he's right, but when he's wrong, holy
Nope,
crap, his take sucks.
Yep, he spins it quick.
Did you? I remember him in last year when Urban Meyer went to the Jaguars, which I was like, I was like, all right, this is gonna work. I didn't expect 9 wins, like Arnie Spanier, the stinking genius, but I didn't expect it to be as bad as it was. But he was like, the Jags are gonna win 9 games this season, Chris Plank, and it was Bobo, Lee DeLapp, and the great, probably the best update anchor on the network, Steve DeSager.
Oh, not even close, and it's not even close. Steve is it's not remotely
it's
close.
Steve, and then Ilo, and Beefin. Those are the top.
Oh, Longtron's great, but yeah, I mean, but Steve is in his own tier. Like, you know what I mean?
Steve's like the 10 out of 10, and then the reason I like Ilo is he just what he brings to his updates is just the audio drops, the humor. He was actually fun to interview. I had him on a couple weeks ago. But,
cool.
Yeah, the Dolphins, like this is a year where I'm not gonna lie. I usually tweet and Arnie and Plank trolling, but I was like, Arnie, I can't even troll you. Like, you're like, out of all the years I've listened to you, the Dolphins making the Super Bowl pick that you have every year is the most. It's the most. It's the best chance it's had in 10 years. Basically, that's my point.
Yeah.
But we're getting close to game time here. I will have another show during the weekend to preview week 3. Quickly, Nick. The over-under 38.5 in this Thursday night football game. And the Browns are favored by 4.5, I believe. Who you got in this one?
I got the Browns, and I really hope the Browns win because I think Kenny Pickett should be the starter for the Steelers, and hopefully this game awakens them.
Yeah, you guys, I mean, the Steelers game, they should have, with the way Joe Burrow was playing, they should have won that by a lot.
I think Kenny Pickett can play. He's ready to go right now. Mitch Trubisky is terrible.
Yeah.
And I think he's ready right now. So hopefully, I want the Browns. I think the Browns are going to sink the Steelers because Mitch sucks. And hopefully that will spark them to start Kenny next week.
Yeah, I hope it does, man. I really do. I mean, maybe even a second half change would be cool to see if they're getting slumped too hard. But yeah, I have the Browns. I think it's gonna be like over in points. I think it's about 31-10. Who's calling me in the middle of the show? Come on, man. But yeah, I think I have the Browns to win, and I have the over.
Yeah, I'll take over of the 37.5 or the 4.5.
What's up?
The 4.5 or the 38?
38.
Okay, I mean, well, I don't know about that, but I'll take. I think
it's like a 31-10 crushing effort.
Wow. Okay, I don't know about the 38, but I'll take the 4.5 all day.
Yeah. Yep. All right. This has been Blindside Sports. Nick Wright, thanks for coming on, man. It was great.
And thank you for having me on. I still don't know why you want to have me on, but it's been a blast. I hope to do this again sometime and have fun watching the game. And I will text you soon.
All right, man. I'll be posting, clips and all that from our show. So if you want to, I'll put this down in the comments. The social media is where, you guys can go follow and see whenever I go live and all that. This has been Emmett Douglas, Nick Wright. Thanks for hopping on. I'm for sure going to have you on again because you're like the Chargers guy I know that actually makes sense. So
I'll be your Chargers hype man. Yes.
Yeah. Like Gargano or Anthony Gargano is the guy I'm going to bring on when the Eagles win the Super Bowl.
No, there we go. All right.
I already brought him on once, but
Oh, damn. I did. Oh, you know what? I take it back. I did see that. I hope so.
Yep. All right.
All right, Emmett. Thanks, man.
All right. Have a good day. Thanks for watching. See ya.
Later.
See ya, Nick.